Don and I loaded up into the van, ready for one of our classic little jaunts through the Illinois countryside. It was one of those crisp winter mornings where the air felt like a slap in the face, but the kind that wakes you up and makes you feel alive. Springfield was our starting point, and as we rolled out, we decided to take our time. Why rush when the world outside was dressed in a shimmering coat of snow, just waiting to be admired? Before we hit the road proper, we made a pit stop in Auburn at this adorable little store. I swear, stepping into that place was like stepping into a time machine that dropped us smack dab in the middle of small town charm. They had everything, shelves crammed with wholesome foods that screamed Midwestern wholesomeness. Don couldn't resist picking up several things we can't get at home. The man behind the counter was so friendly, chatting with us like we were long-lost cousins. It felt like a scene straight out of a Hallmark movie. Once we'd had our fill of quaintness, we hit the road toward Loami. The van hummed along, and the fields stretched out around us, blanketed in snow so pristine it looked fake, like someone had photoshopped the landscape. Don started pointing out random things like a lone tree in the middle of a field, calling it artistic and brooding, which made me laugh because it was probably just some farmer's forgotten oak. The drive was pure Illinois, flat, open, and peaceful, with just enough quirk to keep it interesting. Loami was the next dot on our map, and let me tell you, it was as sleepy as you'd expect on a winter's day. The kind of place where you'd half expect to see a tumbleweed roll by. We cruised through town, soaking in the charm of old houses with porches dusted in snow. There was a dog lounging in someone's front yard that gave us the laziest look, like, "Yeah, it's winter. What do you want from me?" We considered stopping for lunch there, but decided to keep moving. The adventure wasn't over yet. From Loami, we meandered on toward New Berlin, the van's heater working overtime to keep the chill at bay. By now we were starting to get hungry and debated pulling over for an early lunch. Don suggested Petrillo's Mexican restaurant in Auburn. It's a bit of a local legend, but it was still a little early for enchiladas, even by our standards. So we pressed on, with Don grumbling about how he could have forced down a taco or two if I'd just agreed. The road to New Berlin was a mix of snowy fields and patches of woodland, where the trees stood bare and dramatic against the winter sky. Don, always the comedian, started naming the cows we passed. "Look, there's Bessie. Oh, and that's her cousin Earl. They're probably talking about the weather." I couldn't help but laugh. His ridiculous commentary always makes these drives feel like adventures instead of just drives. New Berlin itself was a cozy little town, its church steeple rising like a friendly wave. Hello as we pulled in. We cruised its streets, admiring snow-covered rooftops and the occasional puff of smoke curling from a chimney. People were out and about, clearing snow from sidewalks or just strolling along, bundled up like marshmallows. It's the kind of town where life moves a little slower, and that's part of the charm. The van carried us onward, weaving through the quiet beauty of central Illinois in winter. The snow-covered fields and the stillness of the season had a magic all their own, but it was the company that made it special. Don's jokes, our shared laughter, and the way we always seemed to find something unexpected, like that store in Auburn, turned an ordinary drive into something memorable. Spring might be just around the corner, but on that day, winter's grip felt like an invitation to slow down, take it all in, and enjoy the ride. The area around Loami and New Berlin, Illinois, likely has some historical significance, especially when considering the broader context of Illinois' development during the 19th century. While it may not be widely documented as a major hub for military encampments or supply routes, some key historical threads might connect the region to these activities. Early settlement and founding Loami and New Berlin, like much of central Illinois, were settled in the early 19th century as part of westward expansion. Early settlers in Illinois often encountered Native American tribes and were influenced by events like the Black Hawk War, 1832, which may have brought temporary military activity to the region. Civil War connections. Illinois played a significant role in the Civil War as a Union state, providing troops, supplies, and support for the war effort. Sangamon County, where Loami and New Berlin are located, was part of this effort. Abraham Lincoln from nearby Springfield was a major figure in Illinois history and the Civil War. Temporary military encampments or staging areas may have existed near transportation routes, railroads, or rivers, which were crucial for moving troops and supplies. If New Berlin or Lomi were near such routes, they may have hosted such activities. Supply routes and roads, central Illinois' proximity to the Illinois River and early road networks would have made it a strategic area for transporting goods, especially during westward expansion and conflicts like the Civil War. Railroads became particularly important in the mid-19th century, and New Berlin is close to rail lines that might have served as supply routes during the war or other military efforts.